how much private money they can give. And so the original restriction doubled the amount of money corporations could give, but put limits on how close to a campaign they could do it. Now, and I've got to read the full ruling. I tried to this morning, scanned over it, but there's no mention anywhere here. And obviously it was unconstitutional to say Hillary the movie couldn't even show in theaters before an election, back during the election. Courts tried to rule that. I mean, obviously you can make a documentary about Hillary Clinton as free speech and show it, and no campaign rule can do that. So the good news is it threw that out, but it's left, and no one's talking about that. The restrictions on, I can only give, what is it, $3,000 to Ron Paul, and then I'm done as an individual. So, but I guess individuals need to sue now so that they give their rights to give. Because now if labor unions and corporations can give unlimited, but citizens can't, we're in trouble. So it's good in that it defends some of the First Amendment, but it's unequal. It's like Obama's health care plan saying certain states and labor unions are exempt from the taxes on health care plans. I mean, you can't do that. Just like Obama said, if you're a Democratic contributor, you get to keep your 90-year-old or 70-year-old in some of the cases car dealership, but if you're not, we're taking it because the government runs GM. I mean, that really happened. I mean, this is so lawless. I just can't believe that this is all going on and that these people are actually getting away with this. I'm going to get into some of the other good news I've got here, but I'm going to be quite frank with you. I've let my desk get messy. I need to clean it off this tonight because the desk is just got the last week's news on it. Give me a shot on that camera so folks can see this, or maybe a document cam shot. I mean, I'm just wading in information. I'm actually drowning in it. This is 1 week of news. Last Sunday, I came in here and cleaned off my desk. And every one of these stories is just a nightmare of evil, a nightmare of government corruption. Oh. I am going to take a few days off. Every once in a while, I get really tired. When I get emotionally spent, I'm freaked out about all the work we've done, and now Glenn Beck's just taking it all over. I'm freaked out about him shutting down the gun show without a law and laughing about it. But I should be positive. I mean, so much is coming out. People are actually reading what the White House czars are saying. They're actually, TSA nominee Errol Southers withdraws. President Obama's nominee to head the Transportation Security Administration withdrew for consideration on Wednesday, saying his nomination was obstructed by political ideology. Errol Southers had faced fierce opposition from Republicans ever since news surfaced that he may have misled Congress about an incident in the late 80s involving a background check of his boyfriend of his ex-wife. I mean, yeah, they use these databases to harass people. But the real reason he got in trouble is he gave video interviews saying the number one enemy of America is Christians, and that's the number one terror threat. We played that in the last few weeks. So, the good news is this guy won't have access to your wife's naked body. I mean, he likes access to data illegally, so God knows what he'll do with the naked body scanners. Here's Beck Parrott's White House information czar talking points, Kurt Nimmo. That's a key story. You need to read that. H1N1 swine flu hoax falls apart at the seams. It's openly coming out that it's a criminal operation, that they're doing a criminal inquiry in the EU. Let me read some of this. I mean, here's an article from Steve Watson about it on Tuesday, and then there's another great article we got up at Infowars.com by Mike Adams of Natural News. International hearings begin on falsified swine flu pandemic. The Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, a 47-member body encompassing democratically elected members of the parliament, has begun hearings to investigate whether H1N1 swine flu pandemic was falsified or exaggerated in an attempt to profit the vaccine sales. And then it's got the director of it saying it was all hype, it was a lie, it was a fraud, that the vaccine is dangerous. I mean, it sounds like Alex Jones runs that Council of Europe. In order to promote their patented drugs and vaccines against flu, pharmaceutical companies influence scientists and official agencies responsible for public health standards to alarm governments worldwide and make them squander tight health resources for insufficient vaccine strategies and needlessly expose millions of healthy people to the risk of an unknown amount of side effects of insufficiently tested vaccines. This is the Council of Europe speaking. The bird flu campaign of 2005-2006 combined with the swine flu campaign seem to have caused a great deal of damage not only to some vaccinated patients and to some health budgets, but to the credibility and accountability of the important international health agencies. Who's reporting this? The EU Health Board out of Strasbourg. Who else is reporting this? Fox News, Associated Press, Reuters, Washington Post. I mean, look at this. I like Mike Adams' articles. They're like InfoWars articles. He's gracious to let us post them in full. But naturalnews.com is the main site. Because just every paragraph is multiple links to all the mainstream news and documents and drug inserts. And, I mean, here it is. Washington Post, CDC, Reuters, Fox News. So, I mean, when you give somebody these articles by Steve Watson or by Mike Adams, let's get Mike Adams on next week. Let's get him on to talk about this in hindsight. So when somebody says, how dare you, you got to take the shot. You should be arrested if you don't take the shot. You should be sued if you don't take it, like Dr. Dean Adele said. That guy gets up there on the radio every time I hear him, because he comes on before me on the weekend on KLBJ. I listen to him. And he says, there are no side effects. It's all a lie. You need to be arrested if you don't take it. Well, I mean, here it is admitted. I mean, the British and German and other governments, they wouldn't even take it themselves. It does brain damage you. It does cause neurological disorders. It does cause Guillain-Barré. It does do all of this. It does, in many cases, reduce fertility or outright sterilize you. It does cause autoimmune disorders. It's a fact, folks. We just told you the truth. Like I told you the truth about Obama. Like I tell you the truth about Glenn Beck. I mean, I do the research. This is all I do. I'm obsessed with it too much. And I think about the fact that they were still able to shut down so many people. I think about the fact they were still able to con so many people. I think about the fact that so many women, and I know you printed it again, but you printed it for me. I can't find it in the stack. All the mainstream news articles about all the unexpected miscarriages from the shot. That's being talked about in the investigation. And notice in the major EU investigation, because their doctors aren't corrupt bureaucrats, I'm sure they'll all be fired now. They're talking about the campaign of 2005-2006. They did tests up until 2008 where more than 30% of the people that took the experimental bird flu shot would die. That's London Telegraph. I mean, they're giving 100 homeless people the shot and 31 are dying. The government knows it. They know the Monsanto corn causes massive liver failure and kidney failure. They know these other GMO crops are designed to sterilize you. Why do I even have to get up here and explain this to people? Why do I get called a conspiracy theorist when all I do is the research? Why do I have to be enemies with the police? You're just like me. You put your pants on one leg at a time. You've got children. These varieties of potatoes, tomatoes, and corn, and soybeans, and wheat that are GMO, they are specifically going in there and changing the chemical composition to sterilize you, to brain damage you, to give you cancer, to make your organs fail. I know that's scary. I know that's hard to believe. Please investigate. I don't expect you to believe me. I don't expect you to believe me, but for God's sakes, at least check into what I've told you, please. I'm freaked out by Barack Obama and all his cult followers. I am freaked out by Glenn Beck taking over our tea parties that Ron Paul started. I'm freaked out by everything we do gets like alchemy they turned the gold into crap. And I just wish that Glenn Beck would not be a sniveling little traitor. He knows what he's doing. Folks, you got to tell Glenn Beck we are not going to have a national sales tax, and we know the feds don't plan to replace the income tax with it. I've told you this for over 10 years. They were planning this. It's all now happening. They're trying everything right now. We got to stop the Republicans, man. They are now coming into power. You watch. They are going to say we've got to have taxes to pay these bankers off. They're pushing new taxing systems, and anybody that does that is your enemy. We don't owe this money. It's a fraud to these offshore banks. Stop worrying about Obama and Republicans and Sarah Palin. They're all puppets. Start talking about the real power structure, the CIA and the Federal Reserve that